just saw was a video created by VO3, Google's model for either text to video or image to video. So my name is Mariam Bahari, and I work at Google as an AI technical specialist. That means that I work with different companies, several of them being here, and with partners also present here, on technical AI projects. Think about brainstorming, scoping, implementing, architecting, going from idea to implementation. So it's a lot of fun, especially in these times when technology is changing so rapidly. So thank you all for making till the end of today. I hope to make this session energizing. At least I'm very happy with our panelists for this session. I would like to welcome them up to the stage. We have 3 people from the field joining. They are all creatives. They have a track record in being a successful creative, creating, for example, videos. We're going to go into their content during this panel session. So we have joining me Justin Hackney, who is the co-founder and CCO of Wonder Studios. We have Tom Hayden, CEO of AI Nation. And Dorian Thomas, Executive Director at Territory Studio. So now that I did my introduction, it's time for all of yours. So let me first start. Justin, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, how is everyone? Feeling good? Yes. Last talk of the day. My name is Justin Hackney. I was originally a kid actor in a film called 28 Days Later when I was like 7. And that was my first insight into filmmaking. I was obsessed with Danny Boyle, and I shadowed him for many, many years. And that got me into film. I had a whole life in film and TV and commercials. But about 4 years ago, OpenAI reached out and I started helping them roll out their tools before they went public. That journey took me on to building an incredible community in this space, kind of helping set up film competitions, initiatives around AI, education, and partnering with traditional industry. I worked for a company called 11 Labs, beginning of their 23 people there, and saw it grow to 169 within a year. Like, incredible experience. And luckily now, we've raised money, thankfully, in just another round we're about to announce as well, backed by OpenAI and 11 Labs and Adobe and many other incredible partners and angels to build an AI native studio. That's it.
Thank you, Justin. So such an interesting journey you've been through. Tom, moving to you.
Yeah, so my background is I was a traditional film director and producer for 15 years. I did 11 movies during that time. Really kind of focused on the economics of the way the film industry works, the business model around it, how you raise and package movies and TV shows. Got pretty good at it, but I always saw myself as somebody who was just doing R&D, kind of looking for that next big convergence of technology and economic signals. You know, somebody who's always looking out for what's the market saying, where is all of this going in terms of how the creatives make revenue from the stuff they're doing. Then in 2021, I founded a research vehicle called Pigeon Shrine. Pigeon's the god of trash. Everything AI made was rubbish back then, so it was a bit of a joke name. And from that, the product emerged. We founded AI Nation. We released a film called Where the Robots Grow, which was, at the time, one of the very first full AI-powered feature films.
It's a great film.
Caused a lot of people to send me really mean messages, kind of funny. And then since then, we've gone on to evolve into a 2-sided marketplace. One is a platform meant for creatives called On the Geno One, essentially taking into account all of the lessons that we've seen companies like FreePick and Higgsfield apply to user-generated content. And what we've really done is think about what do you need inside the professional world to attract you from being a traditional film company over to this new space. And it's an economic lane that we call professional generated content, PGC. We really think this is going to replace the sort of lost Blu-ray and DVD revenue. And to boot, we've also got in closed beta a gamified video on demand platform. So it's been pretty busy. Also, it just finished a raise, so I think you'll be hearing us make a lot of noise very soon.
What a story. Dorian, finishing up with you.
I wasn't in 28 days later. I wish I was. My name is Grant Thomas. I'm the Executive Creative Director of Territory. My background is design, motion graphics, motion design within a bunch of different studios and agencies in London. Over the last 3.5 years I've been at Territory Studio, and we get to work on a lot of different types of projects, but we tend to kind of want to merge and blend story, design, technology, and so forth. And we believe that technology informs the idea in a much better way. And over the last 18 months, we've been exploring the power of AI within that world. And how does it serve us? How does it help us? Where does it save time? Where can it be efficient and used? And that's it.
Thank you so much. I would also love to get to know the audience a bit better. So who here sees themselves as a creative? Are you people creating, for example, videos, commercials, movies, socials? We have a couple of them. People working in IT? A lot of you. People outside the IT but are very interested in where Gen Media is heading towards? I hope most. Good. So before moving forward, Dorian, I understood you have a reel that we're going to show before moving forward with the rest of the panel. Let's show that. So, what do you want to tell us about what we just saw?
A wide range of projects, from feature film through to TV, through to digital creative tech. We get to, our history is screen graphics, and that's where we were kind of, the genesis of Territory Studio was, which is about 15 years ago. And through just generating that work, other people get knocking at the door, and we're more interested in discussing ideas and how could we solve their problems from a design, motion point of view, which meant that we could expand what we did for them essentially. So not only film, but all the way to the, I don't know if you saw it then, there was the Zhen Tree of Life, which is a massive installation in China, which we've just done projected content for. So a huge range of different types of projects.
Okay. We're going to talk more about how AI influences your job currently, also how you use it in your daily job, what challenges you're going to see. So a lot of topics for the remaining 30 minutes that we still have. Before we go into that, I want the audience to get to know your work a bit better. So for each of you, we're going to go through a project that you recently worked on, and then we're going to see a video, and afterwards we're going to talk about how you leverage AI, if at all, to create this project. So I'm starting with Justin's work, who actually recently worked with Lewis Capaldi. Who isn't a fan of Lewis Capaldi here? So let's look at that. We have this clip here. Anyone here who recognizes it? Any Lewis Capaldi fans in the audience? Is it already out? It is, right?
Yes, it's out. Yeah. It was one of the first music videos, if not the first, that Universal Music Group kind of put out, especially for kind of a caliber of artist this big. Definitely worth watching the video online when there's a bit of sound, but the brief was really from them because they knew there would be a lot of eyes on this, and there's a lot of kind of negativity in the space about kind of people using these tools. So they wanted to do things that were quite impossible to shoot. The idea was like, yeah, this would be impractical, impossible, really kind of pushing the bar. So some of it's the underwater stuff, some of it's kind of done deep in space in these environments that would, just in my wildest dreams earlier in my life, would have been impossible. But yeah, it was a great journey working with Google, side by side, using their latest and greatest tools, which as a creator has been, you know, shooting and filming, directing my whole life. It's still to this day, like every time I generate a video clip or create an image and then create videos from that, there's still something so magical about that process that you just can't find anywhere else, really. Yeah, really good fun project.
So can you tell me a bit more about what is in the background? So how was this created? How did you collaborate with Google? I believe it was with DeepMind.
Yeah, so DeepMind, Wonder has created partners with every leading image and video model company since the beginning. So whenever there is a new tool released, we're often helping doing release videos, or at least getting people's eyes on, like their CDP programs. But this one specifically was wanted to do a music video purely with Nano Banana. I don't know, put your hand up if you know what that is, Nano Banana. That's reassuring, that's great. So they wanted, because there's a lot of image models out there, the task was, can you just do it with Nano Banana and VO? Which we could, to a very high quality level. And I know they've just released, or they've just announced a new version, I think yesterday.
Yes, Nano Banana has exploded, so everyone is able to use Nano Banana. You can just Google for it. You'll find it either in the AI studio, for example, and there are many ways to get access to it. But really cool to see what you created. Moving on to your project, Tom. Can we look at your video?
No.
There we go.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, essentially what you're looking at here is a collection of work that's been made using our proprietary in-house system called Omnigeno 1. It is completely multimodal, with a few bells and whistles that are internally designed, meant especially for professional filmmakers. And we're seeing just a wide variety of work being produced. One of the things that we always provide for our clients is constant, up-to-date access to the best models that are out there. So of course, if you're a VO3 fan, it's accessible to you. You know, we work closely with ByteDance, I'm so sorry. So, you know, their models are in there really early on as well. Currently, we've got about 70 studios and production houses globally inside the system. It comes in two flavors. One is token-based for lower-end production studios who just want to pay as they go. And then there is an enterprise version called Vault, which is installed locally. And one of the things we really put a lot of time and attention on are the things that I think kind of get forgotten in the AI space. But when you come from a traditional film background like I do, you know how important chain of title is. You know how important it is to be able to document your process for US copyright. And all of this stuff has been hardwired in. So I think the way to look at it is it's kind of like if Adobe Premiere had a baby with, you know, free pick, essentially. So if that's something that you're interested in trialing, at the moment you can go to the site and sign up to be onboarded. In about 2 weeks though, It's going to become a lot more frictionless, and we'll be letting a lot of people in. And then most of this content that you're seeing here will also appear on our GVOD platform, which is called AI Nation. You can access that now in closed beta as well if you want to sign up. And we are essentially taking all the lessons from the microtransaction world and applying them to how do we make money from this content. So we're not really a production company, although we do have our own originals line. But what we are doing is trying to empower you, the creators, to make long form content. We're only interested in long form, we don't do any short form stuff. And then obviously take that content, if you need it, to a willing and paying audience. So that's what you're looking at.
Interesting. What I also find very interesting is that you bring this experience from the business also when we weren't using AI yet. So what was a compelling reason for you to start using AI? How do you feel that now helps you elevate your business and bring you new opportunities, for example? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I made my first feature film as a traditional film director in 2015. Who's actually made a traditional film here? Anyone? Okay, they're a nightmare, just to be clear. So if your dream is, I'm going to be a film director one day, and I think this is where a lot of the sort of anti-AI sentiment comes from. It often comes from people who are like, hey, I'm a film director, I'm going to be a film director, but they haven't actually made that first project, and so they're unaware of just the economics and the barriers that is around getting feature films off the ground. I got very good at raising funds and pre-selling stuff, packaging content, making it at speed, delivering it at QC standards, and the more I did it, the more I realized how fundamentally broken it is. You know, I really come from probably the last line of indie filmmakers that was able to just squeak a living out of the space. That door thoroughly closed during COVID, and so now I'm very passionate about incoming talent and how do you let audiences know that you are a great storyteller so that one day you might end up in that director's seat. And to be honest, for me, it became pretty apparent that AI was going to be revolutionary in how we tell stories. But the thing that I didn't know when I started the company was how. And so we spent a lot of time trying to figure out the technological innovation, like, well, how do you do this? We first of all made a whole hybrid film, a full feature film. We spent $1 million on it. We got a big name actor, I nearly said his name then, but he killed me, to come and be in this thing for 3 days. And I told him, I was like, this might never come out. And sure enough, it didn't. But it unlocked the ability for us to make Where the Robots Grow. And then we took what we learned there, we packaged it so that all of you could do it. And that's really been the goal here for me. I think that, you know, AI represents an opportunity to create this new product line, to be able to make sure that the next wave of talent isn't frozen out. Because let's be honest, when was the last time Hollywood cut a check for a first-time filmmaker from somewhere? It's very rare these days, especially if you're not related. You know, and I feel very passionate about making sure that there's a future for storytellers to be able to get their message out there. So that's what made me turn to this.
Yeah, it's revolutionizing, and I think your company is one of the pioneers, really showing how you can like dive into the AI trend and make use of it. Moving on to Dorian and Territory Studio, we have another clip that we wanted to show for you.
Okay.
Can you walk us through what we're seeing?
I think there's two in here, so you'll see it cycle through. We just thought we'd loop them just so that you could see what's going on. One of this is just playing briefly. The reel that you saw before, the sort of big awesome Lord Hanson, that hasn't had any AI in any of the work at all, in any way whatsoever. That's because there's been 15 years prior, kind of before all the explosion of AI comes in. We work to briefs. Somebody comes to us with an idea. Can we make this project? Mistake. Christ, that's loud. The footballer that you saw then was in collab with 3 Network. They wanted to bring a footballer who had was prominent in the beginning of the 19th century. We had no content whatsoever, apart from 6 images of her face, and they were very, very old, very degraded. Also at the turn of the 19th century, so photography was going through a bunch of different sort of developments and getting better essentially. But we hardly had any such content. So the purpose behind this was, could we bring it to life, and how could we bring it to life? And we thought we could do it with AI, and in combination with a bunch of traditional techniques that we know as a studio. I have a studio of about 50 designers, motion designers, compositors, very, very much, motion designers. There's a lot of traditional techniques that we have that we could lean on. Knowing those efficiencies through that by using AI to get this image and get her as high res as we could in order to kind of do a basic digital face replacement, but with one image. It wasn't deepfake, it wasn't training a Laura, it wasn't training. This was done almost a year ago now, so if we were to do this today, we would completely do it differently. The second project that you're seeing has only just been released yesterday, and it's with a big American cyber security firm called Bitdefender. It's to basically warn people of the dangers of AI scammers that seems to be on the increase at the moment. And so we went through, but the only way we kind of knew how to take a client along the journey with us, which was to go through very traditional routes of casting, and building casting briefs, very, very clear, concise scripts which had the ums, the ahs, the intonation, the pauses, the cadence of it, written out into it, so we knew what they were, and basically went through. The question was, do we go through traditional casting, or can we cast using AI? And we thought and felt that we could, and so the client was, and I hate this word, brave enough to come with us on that journey, for want of a better word. So 6 of those characters that are in the ad are all AI generated. We did start in one process, which was using Flux, I think, and then very, very quickly Veo 3 came out and kind of changed it for us. Traditionally, through a process, once you've started a project with a client, you don't tend to want to need to flip around and change the way you're doing something, because there are time implications as well as cost implications. But we managed to persuade them that it was the right thing to do, and we got better results. And it wasn't, so it was all scripted, as in the prompt generation only. So we built an agent essentially to give us very, very clear, distinct characterizations of each character, environmental lighting, facial features, wardrobe, blah, 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 a bunch of that, and then cast for real the scanner itself, and so that built into the conceit of the actual edit as well, which was he's playing all these characters that are in your life, trying to get your money out of your bank account in some form or another.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that you're using AI to actually warn people also for AI scams, right? So in this way, you're using it in a way where you generate it, but then the outcome can be used in multiple ways. Like when you generate faces, it can be used for scams, but it can also be used to help us get further in life. So from that perspective, when initially, like a question for you, Justin, what made you decide to use AI more? In, for example, this project you did with Louis Capaldi, what were your considerations in deciding, okay, now I'm comfortable doing this, I think the outcome will be like good enough to share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, each project we do is completely different, and a lot of the time it's a very hybrid approach, like your film as well. It doesn't just take one tool; it takes like 20 AI tools and like a bunch of Adobe suite pack, like It's always takes a lot of craft to do these things. But I think the Lewis Capaldi thing, that was the very brief. That was full AI music video. You know, just complete frame to frame, absolutely everything created kind of from scratch, net new, which is exciting. You know, it's not the experience you want to do all the time. I love being on set. I love going and shooting. You know, it's a lot of fun when you use AI to extend something you've already shot, right? Or if it's a product, you can take some photos of that product and you can put it into loads of different spaces. It's rare actually we get a kind of fully AI brief. But it was great fun. We had like 12 different creators. We tasked them with exploring a load of different like worlds and things, and we were like almost in real time being able to generate stuff side by side, send stuff to each other, and pick and choose what feels right, what looks the best. And if things don't work in the edit, you can kind of go back and you can generate again and again and again and again. Something that you just never had before. I mean, unless you have a huge VFX company or something, which still takes a lot of time, which time or money, and that kills a lot of creative ideas. It limits a lot of ideas, or prevents a lot of films or projects from coming to light because they're too risky. But now you have the ability to, with the director, with anyone really, kind of go back into the edit and generate new stuff. On that note, like a lot of the projects we get is, imagine you're doing a feature film for a Netflix, but you're in the edit now and most of the things have been done, but you didn't realise that you needed a few additional shots. You need that helicopter top down, you need this explosion here, whatever. The things that actually kind of cost a lot and quite impractical. Now you can kind of augment those things as you go. You can create it as you go, which is, you know, such an unlock for more of a traditional filmmaker, where you shoot and then you edit your film. Maybe you have a bit of post, but you shoot it and that's it. To be able to go back into it, explore new things, get a different angle from the things that you've shot, whatever. It's really unique, and it's an absolute unlock if you're creative.
Yeah, it's interesting that the complete workflow actually changes when you start implementing AI in, for example, filmmaking. It's completely different than how you used to do that in the past. And what you're saying, AI used to augment and to, for example, to improve costs, to reduce costs that in the past were significant. And also think about those, indeed, if you miss the scene, that's a very interesting point, that you can use AI to generate it. So talking about that, one thing that I actually wanted to show you today, but it's something you can find on YouTube. We, as Google, we collaborated with the Sphere in Las Vegas to create a new edition of The Wizard of Oz, the movie we all know, and to show it in the context and the screen of the Sphere, if anyone is familiar with that one. So what we did for that is use VO3. We trained a model that is able to extend The Wizard of Oz from the old picture movie into something that you can view in this theater that has a circular screen. So that's a way where you can basically use technology and AI to bring old movies, for example, back to life, reignite our passion for those type of movies. So that's interesting to see on the use cases when you're using AI in this field. So going back to you guys, so I'm also curious, when you started the process of understanding what can AI mean for you, like you probably encountered challenges, roadblocks, but then still decided to move forward. So maybe, Tom, do you want to tell a bit more on how that was for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll move my mic. I think the reality of the situation is, like, I view myself as, you know, my job is to be a bit of a futurist in terms of what the company's doing. And I think that the reality is an AI slopocalypse is coming, just an avalanche of content. And one of the, it's a hard word to say, you know what I mean. And I think the reality of it is, most of the industry is unaware. I think the film title Avengers Doomsday is very apt because it's coming in, summer of 2027. And I genuinely foresee a very quick future creeping up on us where content houses, a lot of them based out in places like Taiwan, Cambodia, make 300,000 fake Avengers Doomsday films in the week of release and surge them across the internet in all different directions. $50 here, $1,000 there, and it becomes uneconomical for a company like Disney to keep producing movies at that standard. Because you spend more fighting this new form of piracy. And the reality is, I think that we have to fight fire with fire. You need to realise that audience tastes have changed. People want fast content that feels relevant to them now. Traditional media is slow. You come up with a great idea, it feels zeitgeisty, it feels like this is going to work. And then all of a sudden, you're 2 years later, you're still finishing off QC. There's been 20 versions of that, and the public are like, I don't want to see anything to do with being locked in a house anymore. I lived through COVID, thanks. So you've lost that momentum. AI allows us to, if we use it properly, to make professional generated content that is relevant, that is quality, that lets us combat the slop, and come up with a way to make sure that there's an economic future for storytellers. Now that doesn't mean that traditional media has to go away. I think traditional media, like the media industry for the last 100 years has always been about diversification. It was just film, then it was film and TV, then it was film and TV and video, then it was film and TV and video and DVDs, and then it was streaming, and then it was user-generated content. We're always diversifying. But it doesn't mean vinyl goes away. It doesn't mean these things go away. They just become more niche, more quality in their area. And what we have to do as filmmakers is kind of drop this pretense that you can put AI back in the bowl. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And I didn't want to be part of that process of going, well, I don't like it, and I have a very particular opinion. I think a lot of the AI hate that comes is because, and I've been this guy. I was once upon a time, I felt like a guy who hadn't made a movie. But I told all my friends and family, that's what I'm going to do one day. I'm going to be that guy. And when you get on set for that first day, you kind of have this thought in your head where you go, uh-oh, what if I make a really bad film? I did, by the way, I made a really bad film. And you go, okay. And I think a lot of the thing that stops people from making films is this little voice in the back of your head that's like, what if I make a bad film and then I have to look at my mom and dad at Christmas dinner and say, yeah, I wasted 20 years saying I was going to do this, and stops you. And I think that, that's where the AI hate comes from, because you know what, there's no excuse anymore.
Yep.
There's no excuse, like get your laptop, come and click on our website if you want, you can have a feature film 2 months from now and find out if you're good or not. That's where we're at. But we have to start making quality AI content if we've got any chance of combating the slop and creating an economic future for our young storytellers that are coming in. That was a big rant, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead, Justin.
I love it. I mean, things are changing massively, and to your point about quality, because I think even in a sea of noise, even when there's going to be content streams everywhere, I think we'll still gravitate towards culturally relevant events on social media or series or things that spark interest in that moment, like the Squid Games, whatever it might be. But what really interests me, if cost of creation is reduced so much and it's democratized, which it will be so far and wide, is what does ownership look like of the outputs? Because we've been in this conversation for so long about the data, where it comes from, and all of these things, but no one's really discussing the outputs of the creators that are leading it right now, the outputs and the ownership of this IP and the films that's going to come out of this new wave and generation of filmmakers. Something at One that we did right at the beginning as an initiative was to raised money alongside 11 Labs, Clear, FreePip, and FAB, different AI tech companies, who wanted to support indie films. Now they're VPs of these films, but as a studio and as a creator, we own a lot more of that IP. Because at the end of the day, if you have a film or an idea, you're selling it. Someone's taking that from you, giving you money, taking that from you. And in the traditional world, where we have streamers, it was just becoming more and more possible. So it kills great creative. But now that's completely flipped. It's never been more of an exciting time to jump on these tools and create. And to his point, I think it's that vulnerability, like, oh my God, I can do it now and I will be seen. That stops a lot of people. But that, you know, as a creative who's always had to learn new tools, I think it's a real cop-out. I think it's a bit of an excuse, you know? Even if you don't truly agree with all areas of, say, AI filmmaking and tools, you have to understand these tools are going to affect absolutely every business that has a marketing team or promotes themselves, right? So it's a lot of fun when you dip your toe in the pool.
But to that point real quick, you know, I think with the film industry, I mean this in the nicest possible way, but it really attracts planet Earth's greatest narcissists, you know, in the sense that we look at AI as a technology and go, this is about me, you know, but this isn't green screen, you know, like my accountant has absolutely no need for a green screen and so won't install one in his office, won't suddenly be shooting his own commercials on a green screen. My accountant will absolutely have generative AI in his office. And so as an industry, to be so repulsed by something that actually if you don't embrace, your accountant is going to make better films at a faster rate than you can. Who wants to live in that world? I don't. So, you know.
To be honest, I do know some people who have dived into AI filmmaking with no traditional background. And they've gone and they've made films have submitted a few, and they've got better and better and better because they've actually had an experience creating, say, 10 short films. They're getting pretty good.
That's filmmaking, right? It's like a bunch of accidents that you orchestrate and pretend they were your idea. And then
that's a good one. Let's note that down.
So, you know, you might as well embrace the happy accident of AI, and as you embrace it, you start to learn this documentary filmmaker approach to things where, you know, you find the meaning. Like, all art is you imbuing something with meaning, like somebody taping a banana to a wall and saying, this is a tree. The art is the imbuing of meaning from human to an inanimate object. So this idea that AI has no soul, or, you know, it's like, oh, it's just a machine, it's wrong. It's inaccurate because it kind of fundamentally, like, ignores what art is. And I think the problem with AI is it's been sold as this, you know, magic button. There's no magic button. You're going to be there for a while. It's going to take you a while to make it look great. But if it's a story worth telling, take the time.
AI is coming. That's, I think, the conclusion we can take.
AI is here.
AI is here.
AI is
More
just
is
beginning.
coming, indeed. And I think, like, with all types of new technology, it can be scary in the beginning. Like, AI is not the first technology that people might run away from now and then, right? And I think there are many use cases and stories that are a bit scary to think about. But indeed, I think your points are excellent about if you manage to control it in your way, to create films or materials that are even better than the materials that, for example, amateurs can create by just using it, you will stay on top of your game. Otherwise, who knows, the film industry will be out of business in 20 to 50 years from now. So that's why innovation is always important. You need to think about how you can leverage the tools available to make the business even better. So I think you're real thought pioneers on this topic. So thank you for sharing. We are actually already a minute late, but there are so many more things I wanted to discuss with you. So everyone, I don't want to keep you waiting for your drinks. If there are any questions, feel free to approach us later, add us on LinkedIn or post your question there. And I hope you enjoyed the day, the World AI Summit. And we're welcoming Jonathan up to the stage to do the closing with all of you. Thank you, our panelists.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Marion. That was a fantastic panel. Thanks very much. To finish off the day, what